What's up, Space Monkeys? Welcome to Political Fight Club. I'm Robert Durden, and welcome to Jerk of the Week Part 2, Democratic Edition. This is going to be a lot more fun of an episode than the one I did earlier. I had Dave Rubin going up against Ben Shapiro, and you can check out that video if you want to. That was not much based on substance. That was just me teasing some goofballs that say stupid things. This is going to be a little bit more substance-based, and I have like a 4 or 5 way tie in the Democratic edition. So one of the main things that happened this last week is a book came out that was called Lucky, and it basically mapped out exactly how Joe Biden stumbled his way into the presidency on accident. And the book could have very easily been named something like The Coup That Destroyed Bernie Sanders' Presidency, because it basically shows that the rigging within the Democratic Party and the communication between everybody to coalesce to destroy Bernie was actually more nefarious than we could ever have imagined. Now, I haven't read the book. I'm going to buy it soon. But I think Crystal Ball has talked about it. Crystal and Kyle on Crystal Kyle and Friends talked about it. And I forget who else talked about it, but it's basically been covered by a couple of other lefty stations. So, and I've got the synopsis from them. It was crazy. I have to nominate multiple people inside the Democratic establishment because that book came out. That's why I'm doing the episode right now. But first, let's talk about Nevada. First shithead of the week are all the Nevada Democrats who quit when the Democratic Socialists won all 5 of the special elections inside the Democratic Party in Nevada last week. Hilarious. So they're shitheads, obviously, because they always preach unity when they want our votes. But then when we take over the positions of power within the party, they're just like, and then they fucking leave. Oh my God, they're such elitist brats. It's so hilarious to watch them storm off like a bunch of children, because we always knew that's exactly what they were. They're spoiled, bratty children, those Democratic elites. Get them the fuck out of there. All right, good riddance. Hopefully we can do exactly what they did in Nevada, because they also won 11 of the 14 special elections this last summer in local elections. So Nevada is always going to vote for the Bernie type because of that. But it was hilarious to me that they all stomped out. That's number one. And then we're going to go over a couple of shitheads in the DNC. We're going to go over particularly Barack Obama. Now, we all kind of knew the story about how Barack Obama made phone calls to Pete Buttigieg and Amy Klobuchar before Super Tuesday to get them to drop out and rally behind Joe Biden. But this maps out so many more things that Barack Obama was involved in. It basically shows that he was bouncing from candidate to candidate, grasping at straws, starting with Kamala Harris, and then when Harris didn't take off, he bounced to the next one, which he was on Beto O'Rourke for a while, and then when he saw Beto wasn't going to do well, he moved on to Klobuchar, and when he saw that she didn't have a chance, he basically was like pulling strings for everybody in a hierarchy, and his list went something like what I just said, and then he even went all the way down to Elizabeth Warren, and then Joe Biden was below Elizabeth Warren on his hierarchy. Like, Biden was so thought of by the Democratic Party as embarrassing, especially by Barack Obama, that like he even put his weight behind Warren at first, and she couldn't do anything. And so it was like a last-ditch effort that they're like, okay, we have to put everything into Joe Biden because nothing else stuck. Bernie's still killing us. We have to rally behind Joe. We have no choice. So, but it gets worse. As it turns out, if you guys remember correctly, when Keith Ellison went up against Tom Perez for the DNC chair, or the head of the DNC, the progressives really were pushing for Ellison, and nobody wanted Tom Perez other than the neolibs. But Barack Obama pulled a lot of strings to get Tom Perez elected as the head of the DNC. And then in this book, they showed that right after Tom Perez became head of the DNC, Barack Obama pulled him aside and said, basically verbatim, your one goal is to make sure that this does not become Bernie Sanders' party. End quote. And it gets worse, man. Barack Obama did absolutely everything he could to destroy Bernie Sanders, and it drives me crazy because he's the ultimate wolf in sheep's clothing because he was the first black president and because he isn't as bad as Trump and possibly not as bad as Bush, he seems so much better and everybody seems to have a high favorability of him, but he was a terrible president, and of course he doesn't advocate for or fight for any of the things that he campaigned on. So, and he actively is against FDR-style politics that got him elected. So, he is shithead number 2. And then I have to throw in Andrew Cuomo again. He went up against, I think it was Joe Manchin and, back then it was Ted Cruz. And, I didn't give it to him back then, but he could easily win this week. There have been now 8 accusers coming forward of sexual harassment, and beyond that, it's been quantified, and I knew they would eventually know the number on this, but it's now been quantified, and thanks to David Sirota for putting this out there. 15,000 senior citizens died because of the decision he made to reopen them without testing them for COVID. So there's the blood of 15,000 people on his hands right now. So it is not looking good for Andrew Cuomo, and he should resign. And if they, like I said, I said it before anyone else did, if they could prove that he is responsible for like negligent homicide for a bunch of these people, like he knew, which it seems like he did know better, and he still let them back into their nursing homes, he should see time. He should go to prison. And this brings me to my last point and why it's important for me to bash the Democrats as much as possible. Andrew Cuomo was heralded as a presidential candidate by many people back in the day. You guys remember that? And now look at how disgusting he is. All the neolibs were all over his dick, thinking that he's going to be the one to take Bernie Sanders down early in the primaries. And of course he didn't end up running, but a lot of people were talking about him being a front runner. They look at these people like they're heroes and gods, and then it turns out they're disgusting because they're just the same part of that elite circle, right? And Andrew Cuomo's a Democrat. How is he any better than the gross stuff that Trump did? How is he any better than anybody in the Republican Party? You know, he's groping, harassing women exactly the same as a bunch of the Republicans, which is why I don't make the distinction on things like this. I don't act like the Democrats are on a higher moral ground than the Republicans, because we know that all the elitists are all gross, regardless of what color tie they wear to work. And that brings me to my last point is, the reason I go after Democrats more is because, well, A, they're in power, but B, they are wolves in sheep's clothing. Which would you prefer, going after a wolf or a wolf in sheep's clothing? The wolf in sheep's clothing is much more dangerous, because at least you know a wolf when you see it. And Republicans will at least tell you what they're for, they wear their beliefs out on their sleeve, and they don't stab you in the back. And they don't make promises to you during their campaigns that they never meant, and they break immediately once they get into office. You know what you're getting with them. You don't know with Democrats because they lie about everything. So that's why I go after Democrats more. That's why I have to go after people like this. And it wasn't just Barack Obama either. I mean, there was shit in that book about Pete Buttigieg basically was inflated to winning the Iowa caucuses when there was that really bad delay, and of course the Shadow Inc. app that Mayor Pete's campaign donated to and wrote the algorithm for, basically, had a huge stake in the company that wrote that vote tallying software, that he was actually in third place for the longest time, and they straight up just they did inflate the numbers to make it look like Pete was in first, and then they deliberately made it look like, oh, it could be a tie, and then as it turns out, obviously, Bernie ended up winning the popular vote, but all they did was deliberately delay it for 2 or 3 days, like we were all on the left saying they were probably doing, so that it takes the wind out of Bernie's sails. He doesn't get any momentum between Iowa and New Hampshire, or I don't remember what the next one was. It could be, yeah, it wasn't Nevada after that. It was, yeah. So, it blows my mind, but I guess it doesn't. I suppose I saw all of that coming. So it has to be, the shithead has to be Barack Obama and the DNC. That includes Tom Perez. We know Debbie Wasserman Schultz did this to him in 2016. The list goes on and on and on. Donna Brazile broke it that they were feeding Hillary Clinton the questions for every debate the night before. The Hillary Clinton arm was acting as they were like allowed to pick which stories were breaking about their campaign and the Sanders campaign. Like, they got all the press releases first and was able to like withhold the ones that they thought were not written in a flattering light for Hillary Clinton. The list goes on and on and on. They rig it every time. They are the enemy more than the Republicans. The Republicans are easy. It's easy to make fun of Dave Rubin and Ben Shapiro and Steven Crowder. You're going to out-debate them every single time. And all of the Republicans don't have any power right now, but if the progressives go up against somebody like Mitch McConnell, and we get on the debate stage, the progressive is going to destroy Mitch McConnell. They're going to destroy the Josh Hawleys. They're going to destroy the Ted Cruzes of the world, the Rand Pauls. They all don't stand a chance because they look inhumane. It's easy to take down the Republicans. The real battle has to be with the Democrats. That's why it's important. But definitely, Barack Obama, shithead of the week. Get fucked, dude. It was even worse than what I said on the show, too. I'm going to read the book. I'll probably do an in-depth analysis over the period of an hour on the book, but I have to wait for it. And I don't exactly have a lot of money right now, so I'm not expediting the shipping or anything, so it could be a couple of weeks before that happens. But check out those videos about the book on Crystal Kyle and Friends on their Substack. And I think they also did an episode on The Hill. So keep fighting the good fight out there, guys. I'll talk to you later.